1983, Carson Newman won its first ever NAIA National College Football Championship. The Eagles were the chasers that year, the underdogs, but they fought hard, kept their eyes on the goal, and won. In 1984, the Eagles won their second national championship, but the road was much different this time. The Eagles suddenly became defenders, the ones being chased. Good afternoon, I'm Stan Cotton with Carson Newman head football coach Ken Sparks. For the next hour, we'll relive the 1984 playoffs and follow the Eagles to the national championship with game highlights and interviews with the players and coaches who made it all come true. We hope you'll stay with us for Once Was Not Enough. We'll be right back.
Some umbrellas can surprise you, but every totes is carefully engineered to open easily, reliably, with a special shape big and deep enough to shelter two. Some umbrellas can surprise you, but every totes is built to give you no surprises for years and years.
My totes is 10 years old. Still works beautifully.
JCPenney Men's Department is your favorite place to buy your initial belt. If you're a champion, Olympian, or just a regular guy, JCPenney is your favorite initial. Buxton's initial belt is reversible from black to brown, genuine leather. It's initialized, and one size fits your favorite champion. Custom fitted to his own size. From A to Z, Buxton's initial belt, found at your area JCPenney Men's Department. Buxton, JCPenney, and Carson Newman, a combination of all champions.
Why should you buy JCPenney Auto Insurance?
Because JCPenney Auto works harder for me. They give me a great deal on rates.
They settle 88% of our claims in 3 business days after proof of loss.
The thing I like is that JCPenney Auto lets me choose the garage for repair.
I get 50% more medical coverage when I fasten my seatbelt.
I bought it because it's JCPenney Auto Insurance.
Why should you buy JCPenney Auto Insurance?
They work harder.
Coach Ken Sparks, after the regular season ended, you lost to Liberty Baptist 27-14, and like 1983, it became a waiting game to see if Carson Newman would make it back to the playoffs.
Yes, it did, Stan. We had
star, and everybody decided to get dressed up and
of faith, and thank goodness our guys were faithful about it. We met again.
First off, we didn't play well against Liberty Baptist, obviously, and we didn't block the defense the way we needed to get it done, you know, to operate at the line of scrimmage. And we were very much concerned about a team coming in with a 43 defense that stunted a lot, moved around a lot, because I think one key problem we worried about was confidence factor. You know, them knowing a 43 again and knowing what problems they had. So we tried to instill more confidence that we were doing some things maybe different against this 43 than we did against the Liberty Baptist 43.
From our point of view, we were just flat against Liberty Baptist. And from tackle to tackle, we had the best offensive line in the country. There's no doubt about that. But we had our game faces on. We knew it was do or die, and we were playing for another ring, and we came out and played like we were capable of playing, like the best offensive line in the country.
Neither team is able to move the ball much early in the game until late in the first quarter when the Eagles put together a scoring drive. The big play was this keeper from Jeff Joslin as he bootlegs left around the end and rambles down to the 4, where the Eagles will have it first and goal. On 3rd and goal from the 3, Kenneth Tyson, deep in the eye from Knoxville, blasts in to put the Eagles on the board. Carson Newman scores with 1 minute left to play in the quarter, driving 46 yards in 6 plays. After a Concord punt, the Eagles are back in business. This time it's Ted Marcus on the play. 4th and 3 from the 30, and Marcus gets the whole thing, racing 30 yards to score. 12 minutes left in the half, and the Eagles are up 14-0. The Eagle defense continues to play hard. Concord must punt, and Carson Newman begins another scoring drive. Here's the big play. Second down, 10. Joslin goes to the air and hooks up with Rich Zabowski. 35 yards and an Eagle first down. Later, it's 4th and 1 at the 17. This time, it's Tyson breaking loose. He goes 17 yards for the touchdown. Eagles up 21-0. A late hit in the end zone means Carson Newman will kick off from the Concord 45. On the kick, Mike Sturgill and Tim Fouts execute the onside kick perfectly, and Carson Newman, leading by 3 touchdowns, has it at the Concord 33. The Eagle offense didn't take long. 3 plays later, it's Tyson again, this time from 24 yards out, and Carson Newman takes a 28-0 lead with just under 6 minutes left to play in the first half.
We knew we didn't play well against Liberty Baptist. And, you know, we all just kind of came together and we all decided, you know, we said, well, our back's against the wall. And if we don't play good, we, you know, it's like it's been all year. If we didn't play good, offense didn't play good. So we just decided that all 5 of us would, you know, we got a lot closer that week, and we decided we were going to do it for 3 more games.
With what was left in the second quarter, the Eagle defense simply took control. Here, Emory Randolph shoots the gap to reject the pass by Ryan. Then Pat Apke with Barry Mauser get into the backfield to stop Ryonic. So the Eagle linebackers, as they have all year, set the defensive pace.
I think that we possibly even got to the point where we were taking them for granted, because they were week in and week out playing well every game, and we just automatically expected it out of them. And I think especially Pat.
Defense came together towards the end of the year, and everybody started working, you know, for each other. As myself, I felt I could have done a lot better than which I did.
Actually, I think that Pat did have a better year, especially with the fact that he played most of the year with a shoulder injury that was not completely healed throughout the whole year. I think it was a nagging type injury that he had to contend with the whole year.
The defense line helped us out a lot, which helped the linebackers.
Carson Newman owned the air as well. Cornerback Dan Layton goes deep to pick this pass off. It's 28-0 at halftime. The Eagles go on to win 42-6 and advance on to the national semifinals.
Before the game, we had a lot of questions as far as whether we'll be able to pick up their stunts and blitzes, because they weren't just a straight defense. You know, they were moving defense, moving their front, moving their secondary, and stunting their secondary some. And it seemed like in the first half, every time they stunted, we picked up their stunt, and it ended up in a big play.
Well, we felt pretty good at halftime, obviously, but, you know, we were pretty much had them under control, dominating them defensively and with a kicking game. And, you know, when we get in those positions, you know, we always feel pretty comfortable, because our kids seem like they, you know, pick it up a little bit and turn the heat on a little bit more after they start getting somebody down, and then it's usually in for, you know, pretty good afternoon the rest of the way.
Coach, you win easily over Concord, and I guess it's always easy, isn't it, or better for a coach when you get past that first important game of the playoffs?
I don't think there's any question about it, Stan. The first one's a big one, and I think this particular ball game, psychology-wise, you know, as the #1 defense against the #1 offense, they had the #1 defense, we had the #1 offense, and so it was a natural type of setting. And of course, our defense, I think, accepted the challenge too, that we were going to get it done defensively, and so it was tremendous, it was a great victory.
With the win over Concord in the first round, the Eagles advance to the second round, the semifinals, and we'll talk about the game and see the highlights when we come back after this.
Jerry Redding, President and Director of Research for Nexus Products Company.
Nature itself is the ultimate miracle. It is here that the Nexus products for the hair and skin came to be. Is your hair brittle, oily, too thin? Ask your hairstylist for the Nexus formulation best suited to your particular hair and skincare needs. It took me over 50 years to find it, but it'll only take you a few pleasant moments at your favorite salon to discover the magic of Nexus for yourself.
Streetcars are back on track, and they're at JCPenney. Streetcars, the shoes your feet get off on. Get comfortable with the Sea Lion for men. Casual Oxfords made with California construction with a lightweight, flexible sole and a full cushion insole. The Sea Lion for men. Streetcars are the shoes your feet get off on. Yes, streetcars are truly awesome. Found now at your JCPenney store. Some umbrellas can surprise you, but every totes is carefully engineered to open easily, reliably, with a special shape big and deep enough to shelter two. Some umbrellas can surprise you, but every totes is built to give you no surprises for years and years.
My totes is 10 years old. Still works beautifully.
Step 2 in defense of the national championship came on December 8th at Berktar Stadium in Jefferson City. Down from the Great Lakes Conference in Michigan were the Cardinals of Saginaw Valley State. For the second straight year, the Eagles faced Saginaw Valley State in the semifinal round. In 1983, Carson Newman whipped the Cardinals 41-7. So, entering this year's game, opinions of what to expect were mixed.
I don't think we were taking them lightly. I thought Saginaw Valley brought a much better team down here this year. They're a well-coached team, and I think last year what happened was that we jumped on them so early that any team that you jump on them like that is going to fold. It's not, you know, made of extra character or anything.
Well, I felt pretty confident. I thought, to tell you the truth, it's going to be a cakewalk. I didn't know we were going to tie a game going overtime and then tie a national championship after experience what we did last year, because I thought we had a lot better team this year.
On the first play from scrimmage, Eagle linebacker Emory Randolph steps up to nail Saginaw Valley's Byron Krukowski, setting the tempo not only for the game, but also for Randolph's most valuable performance.
The game that Emory had in the playoffs against Saginaw was one of the most outstanding individual performances by a defensive player that I've ever seen. And of course, it came at such a great time, because without the play of Emory on that particular day, we could have very well been sitting at home on the day of the championship game.
The Cardinals, though, keep the ball moving, and on 3rd down 6 at the Eagle 15, Liebingo rifles the pass to Izakowski for the score to cap off an 80-yard drive. It's 7-0 Saginaw Valley.
It did appear as if it was going to be a long day. I think the psychological edge was in Saginaw's favor as far as preparation that week. After we once got started, we saw after that drive, I think our athletes saw, our kids saw that we were going to be in for a tough game.
After the kickoff, on Carson Newman's first offensive play, the handoff will go to Kenneth Tyson. And Tyson turns on the speed, moving the ball 66 yards downfield to the Saginaw Valley 14-yard line. So Tyson shows Saginaw early his big play capability.
Well, I think there's no doubt we've had some good running backs here, and he, at this point in his career, is the best one that we've had as far as ability goes. And he does come up with a big play every time he touches the football. You know, you can expect something big to happen, and I think our offense knows that, and I think it probably makes them work a little bit harder because they know any time it can go.
7 plays later, 2nd and goal at the 1. Joslin goes in for the touchdown, so the Eagles tie the score at 7-all at 7:44 of the first quarter with an 80-yard, 7-play drive. After a Saginaw punt, Carson Newman moves the ball to the Cardinal 39, where on 2nd and 1, Jeff Joslin goes to work. Joslin keeps over the right side, outruns the secondary, and slides into the end zone to give Carson Newman its first lead at 14-7 with 37 seconds left in the first quarter.
You know, I didn't know I was going to score. I just tried to go through the line, and I remember hitting somebody, then bouncing outside, and then seeing, you know, the end zone, and I was just trying to run as fast as I could.
In the second quarter, Saginaw puts a drive together and gets down to the Carson Newman 20-yard line until 4th and 1. When Barry Mauser shoots through and strips Leibinger of the ball and puts the Cardinals on hold.
It must have been a bad blocking scheme or something, because I just shot right through the line. The next thing I know, I had my arms around the quarterback. And when I did, I felt the ball there, and just, you know, it just happened to be a lucky strike that I took the ball away from him. And I didn't even think about running with it or anything. I just fell on the ground with it because I was just so happy about stopping him.
After Mauser's recovery, Saginaw recovers a fumble of its own and moves it to the Eagle 1-yard line, where Krukowski goes in for the score to tie the game at 14-14 with 6 minutes 53 seconds left to play in the half. In the third quarter, after another Eagle fumble, Saginaw is moving again, and on 2nd and 11, Leibinger goes up top to Noah for the touchdown, and the Cardinals suddenly lead 21-14, cashing in on the Eagle fumble with 13:09 to go in the third quarter. Now, late in the fourth quarter, after a Tim Fouts interception, the Eagles have the ball, still trailing by 7. 4th and 3 at the 21, when Aaron Safel, with a great second effort, comes up with the play of his career to pick up the first down and give the Eagles new life.
The funny thing about it was I didn't see Aaron bounce outside. You know, the play that we'd called, I knew it could work. You know, I knew if we blocked it right, it would work. And so I handed it off to Aaron, and I was watching him. I saw him hit the pile. And I said, well, it's over.
I really wasn't thinking of how big it was, but just thinking getting first down. But when I ran into Ted, and it was just a big pile up there, and everything just kind of froze.
Because he had stopped. It seemed like an eternity he had stopped. And I just turned around and started walking off the field because I didn't know what we were going to do now. You know, I said I thought it was over. And then I heard the crowd yell.
And I can just remember just rolling off of Ted, and I picked up the first down. And
I knew from that point on that we were going all the way.
Actually, that was the ball game right there. We were stopped, and it just was a great individual effort.
Carson Newman moves it to the 1, and on 4th down, Tyson gets the call and struggles in for the score as the Eagles tie it up 21-21 with 1:46 left to play in the football game. Overtime. Both teams get the ball at the 20 going in. Saginaw moves it 2nd down goal at the 6 when defensive end Lamar Brown charges the quarterback, bats the pitch down, and out races Leibinger for the ball. The Eagles now get it with a chance to win the game.
It's probably the biggest defensive play we've had at Carson Newman since we've been here. It was what we call a glass call, where the defensive end, instead of reading, he attacks the offensive quarterback on the snap of the football, coming naturally as hard as he can. It's a change-up call that we use to put pressure on option-type quarterbacks. Since we were in a goal line situation, running our 8-man front, it's an automatic call for our defensive ends. And at that particular time, Lamar beat the quarterback every way you could beat him. He beat him on a snap, and he beat him on a pitch, and he beat him to the loose football.
Carson Newman, in its overtime possession, gives the ball to Tyson 3 times to set up the game-winning field goal as Louis Reves blasts it through from 32 yards. The Eagles win it by 3 to make it back to the championship game, and the celebration begins.
Well, I think, number one, it was a great relief for him to have the opportunity to redeem himself. So he was looking for that shot and the opportunity to go out there and win the ball game against Saginaw. So when the opportunity came, I just told him to go out there, to concentrate, to keep his head down, his eye on the ball, and follow through. And I reminded him that, listen, you're not going to be able to celebrate unless you just go out there and do what you've done 100 times this week in practice, and by just relaxing and enjoying this opportunity. And I really believe that's what he did. He went out there with all the confidence in the world, and I mean, kicked the best kick he'd kicked the entire season.
So miraculously, Carson Newman comes from behind to win 24-21 in overtime. Louis Reves, Lamar Brown, and Aaron Safel were the individual heroes, but Coach Ken Sparks knows that it was a team effort, and that team effort had once again taken the Eagles back to the top, the NAIA Champion Bowl. Coach, winning as you did in overtime certainly must have been an emotional lift for your team after the game and going into the final game of the year.
Well, it was a very emotional football game all the way through. I can't remember one any tighter than that. But it was a point of great character for our football team. I think a team with a lot less character probably would have stumbled right there, but it was great character, especially when all the psychological edge was against them, and so it was a great victory stand.
And so for the second straight year, Carson Newman had advanced to the NAIA National Championship game. The rest of our show today will deal with that final game of 1984, and we'll get started with the 1984 NAIA Champion Bowl when we come back after this.
JCPenney Men's Department is your favorite place to buy your initial belt. If you're a champion, Olympian, or just a
kind of downer after the upper you had against Saginaw Valley State.
Well, I think we were hopeful very much that we'd be able to play at home because we'd geared up a whole lot to play at home. We thought that we had our ducks in a row to have a great crowd, to have a you know, the game was going to be televised. It was going to be a big occasion to have a championship event at Carson Newman College in East Tennessee. And so the press and everything probably picked up on the fact that the national champions had to go on the road, and there was quite a bit of print about it and talk about it. And I think the thing that a coaching staff and a squad has to guard against is to let things like that to mess up your concentration and get you geared up on thinking about things that really don't have anything to do with the ball game. And so, you know, it doesn't matter where we play. You know, they can only put 11, we can put 11. It doesn't matter the circumstances. All those things are circumstances. Weather, things like that are circumstances, Stan. And football, like anything else in our life, if we live it based on circumstances, we've got some serious problems because those circumstances are going to kick us, you know. I mean, they're going to get after us. And so we can't control circumstances. What we've got to do is control how we handle circumstances. And so that was our main point going into the national championship game, was to try to get geared back into doing what we're supposed to do.
The Eagles are in Conway, Arkansas to face the homestanding Bears of the University of Central Arkansas. It was December 15th. We're ready now for the first quarter as Carson Newman defends the national championship. The Eagles took the field as the visiting team in the Champion Bowl for the second consecutive year. Rain had fallen in Arkansas all week, but it stopped for the football game. Temperature at game time near 68 degrees, with a pretty stiff wind coming in from the southeast. Carson Newman would get the ball first. The Eagles dressed in all white, the Bears in purple and white. First play from scrimmage, quarterback Joslin checks off, calls his own number, and keeps on the sneak, gaining 12 yards to the 32-yard line. After Joslin's run, Carson Newman has trouble moving the ball, so Ken Burton, the senior from Florida, comes in to punt. His kick travels 45 yards, and Dougherty on the receiving end coughs up the football, but Mark Turner, alertly for UCA, gets it back to the Bears. Greg McAlmon downfield for Carson Newman. So, Central Arkansas takes over, and on 3rd down and 8, Fusilier finds Dougherty for 11 yards and a Central Arkansas first down. A few plays later, another 3rd down, this time 7 yards to go. Fusilier looks to throw, and Davis calls it in for 18 yards and another Central Arkansas first down. Still later in the drive, another 3rd down. Richie White circles out of the backfield, hauls in the swing pass from Fusilier, and finds a crease down the right sideline, 52 yards for the touchdown. The Bears convert 3 big 3rd down situations and take a 7-0 lead with just under 10 minutes to go in the quarter. Central Arkansas gets on the board with his first possession.
The big play was a factor in that game. All throughout the game, I felt like if ability-wise, you know, we were where we needed to be. Some execution problems that we had on the field we needed to be more consistent as far as giving up the 3rd down conversions that you're talking about. If we'd taken away a couple of 3rd down conversions anywhere along the line, then, you know, we could have stopped any drive that they had.
After the Bear touchdown, the Eagles get the ball back. On 2nd down from the 25, Tyson gets the call, and on a controversial play, is judged to have fumbled the football, and Central Arkansas is back in business. Carson Newman defense stiffens, however, and the Bears insert Burrow into the lineup to attempt a 43-yard field goal. The kick sails through the uprights, and Central Arkansas seizes a 10-0 lead with 7:42 to go in the first period. 2 Carson Newman punts later, the Bears have it at their own 36-yard line. 3rd down, 6 yards to go, and Fusilier hooks up with Davis for a first down. As time winds down in the first quarter, Central Arkansas leads Carson Newman 10-0. Coach, at the end of the first quarter, probably your team was lucky to be down by only 10-0. Did you feel a bit shell-shocked at that point?
Well, Stan, it's one of those things you hope doesn't happen in a national championship event. You don't want to get behind early, you know, especially to the team that's is the underdog probably, and to the team that's at home, because all that snowballs, and psychologically they were on a roll. Bad things happened to us, some bad calls. I thought, you know, of course, you know I'm prejudiced, but and I know they were doing the best they could, but it was a negative scene right there.
The second quarter was one that seemingly saw Carson Newman get some of those kinks worked out. So let's go back to action as Carson Newman battles Central Arkansas for the national championship. We pick up action with the Bears now moving toward the south end zone. 3rd down and 7 at the Eagle 37. Fusilier again comes up with the big play, finding his tight end Horton across the middle for 15 yards and a Central Arkansas first down. 4 plays later, still another 3rd down, 18 yards for a first down. Fusilier finds Dougherty for 16 yards. It will be for the Bears 4th down and 2 yards to go. The decision is made. Burrow comes back in. This time the field goal is good from 30 yards. And with 12:48 to go in the first half, Central Arkansas takes a 13-0 lead. After the kickoff, Carson Newman has the ball 1st and 10 at its own 36. And Kenneth Tyson, the sophomore from Knoxville, Austin East, breaks 2 tackles on his way to a 63-yard gain. He'll be marked down at the 1-yard line. First and goal at the 1. Oler, Spivey, and King pave the way for Joslin on the keeper, and the Eagles get on the board with 10:30 to go, driving 76 yards in 5 plays. It's 13-7 Central Arkansas.
Central Arkansas did a couple of things on defense early in the game that they hadn't been showing, and we had been working a lot on the 40 stack and the split, and they came out and lined up in a 6-2 front on us, which was a little bit different. You know, we had prepared some for it, but not as much. And we had planned during the game to make them adjust to our strong side, because we were going to attack that side first to make them a little bit more vulnerable on the weak side. And after we got them slanting that way and thinking strong side, then we came back, and the play that Kenneth broke early was what we'd been hoping would happen.
After the touchdown, the Carson Newman defense begins to take command. Here, Fusilier is sacked by tackle Alan Stevens and linebacker James Green. A few plays later, David Roberts and Lamar Brown break through and stop Fusilier for a 10-yard loss, and the Eagle defense takes control.
Our defense is designed for the linebackers to take advantage of what's going on up front. Our down people, of course, do a super job in keeping blockers off of linebackers, and it's their job to make the big plays. The things that Pat did in the championship game, for example, as far as walking up into the line of scrimmage and taking advantage of wide splits, are things that you can't get in from the sideline. They have to use their own judgment on that, and of course that comes from their experience.
Just before the half, Joslin goes back to pass, throws this one deep down the left sideline, but it's picked off by UCA's Bohannon. But a flag is dropped on the play, and the Bears are penalized 15 yards for pass interference. So that gives the Eagles an automatic first down. And on the next play, Joslin runs it out of bounds as the clock winds down. It's 13-7, Central Arkansas at halftime. Second quarter, offense began to get untracked a little bit. The defense began to stiffen its back, and I'm sure you felt better after the second quarter.
Well, Stan, I felt, you know, to be real honest with you, I didn't think we were ever out of it. I felt confident all the way through because, you you know, I have confidence in our kids. They had been in that situation before. We'd been behind several times. And, you know, you never give up on people with character. And we have a bunch of kids with character and with experience. And so I knew that we were in this thing, and I knew that we would be back, and we started coming back. And the fact is, you take away 2 or 3 breaks, you know, like I just sitting here watching some of the highlights, a couple of fumbles, you know, it just popped right back to them, and then the fumble that they called against us, it was a fumble. You know, we probably were fortunate, according to the breaks, just to be behind 1 touchdown. But in a lot of ways, they had gotten all the breaks, and so I think, you know, we felt good going in at halftime, and I knew we'd be back knocking on the door, and we were grateful to be back within 1 touchdown after being behind 13-0.
The players, of course, are the ones who have to go through playing the game itself. Could you, as a coach, or perhaps from your other coaches, could you read your players on how you thought they were responding to negative things in the first half and some positive things in the first quarter and some positive things in the second quarter?
Well, I think, Stan, you've got to stay away from emotional highs and lows. If we live life and play a football game, which is the same thing, if we do that based on feelings, then we've got a lot of problems. Now, I'm not saying there's something wrong with feelings. You know, we all have feelings. We can't enjoy love. We can't enjoy joy. We can't enjoy all the good things that happen to us if we don't have feelings. Sometimes feelings indicate some things that we need to do. But when we start making decisions based on feelings, and when we start dictating our commitment to each other, to anything based on feelings, then we're in trouble, because feelings are done. You know, I mean, mine change every day. And the fact is, they change many times during the day. And so feelings have a second-grade education. So we have to base our commitment to the ball game on what is right, on truth. And I think that's a great thing that I've seen out of our kids so many times. And this was no exception. And so we'd been there before. We felt like things were going to work out just fine, and based our reactions on commitment and on being what we're supposed to be, and not on our feelings. And that's the reason I think we stayed away from the highs and lows, and especially in this ball game, I thought it was a good example.
So right before, as you went into the locker room at halftime, you felt positive about the 3rd and 4th quarters?
I felt good about it. I really did. Even though we were behind a touchdown, there had been some things that happened that I wish hadn't happened. There's some things that happened that I thought were wrong. We were ready to go, and we were starting back. I didn't think there was any problems at all.
At halftime, Carson Newman trails Central Arkansas 13-7. The second half is coming up next, and the final 2 quarters brought a great deal of excitement and produced several big plays. We'll be right back with the second half right after you watch this.
Streetcars are back on track, and they're at JCPenney. Streetcars, the shoes your feet get off on. Get comfortable with the Sea Lion for men. Casual Oxfords made with California construction with a lightweight, flexible sole and a full cushion insole. The Sea Lion for men. Streetcars are the shoes your feet get off on. Yes, streetcars are truly awesome. Found now at your JCPenney store. Some umbrellas can surprise you, but every totes is carefully engineered to open easily, reliably, with a special shape big and deep enough to shelter two. Some umbrellas can surprise you, but every totes is built to give you no surprises for years and years.
My totes is 10 years old. Still works beautifully.
JCPenney Men's Department is your favorite place to buy your initial belt. If you're a champion, Olympian, or just a regular guy, JCPenney is your favorite initial. Buxton's initial belt is reversible from black to brown, genuine leather. It's initialized, and one size fits your favorite champion. Custom fitted to his own size. From A to Z, Buxton's initial belt. Found at your area JCPenney Men's Department. Buxton, JCPenney, and Carson Newman. A combination of all champions.
Down by 6 at the half. the usual family talk at halftime. Did your game plan change any from first half to second half?
Changed a little bit, Stan. Not anything major, except we probably decided we were going with the veer and the counter veer a little bit more as far as offense is concerned. Defensively, we talked a whole lot about trying to make some adjustments on 3rd and long because they were really hurting us on 3rd and long. But basically, the family talk was that we're in this thing together. We reviewed why we were here. We reviewed why we were playing. You know, that we're not here for the praise of men, but we're here to honor God. And so, you know, we just got back to reviewing what we were trying to do and said, man, there's 30 minutes of it, so let's go get it done.
We're ready now for the second half as Carson Newman and Central Arkansas continue to do battle for the national championship. Remember now, Central Arkansas leads by 6, and the Eagles are still fighting from behind. Let's go to the third quarter. To begin the second half, Central Arkansas has the ball, and the Eagle defense picks up where it left off. James Green and Pat Apke wrap up McGehee here for no gain. Second down 10, Fusilier tries to hook up with Horton, but it will be strong safety Oscar Montgomery defending, and it will bring on 3rd down 10 for Central Arkansas. Central Arkansas goes to the air again, but the pass is incomplete, and Carson Newman is held once more. White goes in punt formation. A short kick of only 26 yards gives Carson Newman the football on the Central Arkansas 46-yard line. Less than 13 minutes to go in the third quarter. The Eagles here, 2nd and 8. Joslin keeps for a 9-yard first down gain.
Jeff Joslin keeps on the option.
Next on the first down play, Tyson, behind a fine block from Ted Marcus, gains 12 yards to the UCA 23, and another Carson Newman first down.
Kenneth Tyson takes the pitch out from Johnson on the option.
But the Eagle drive stalls, and Louis Reves is called on to attempt a 36-yard field goal. Reves has trouble with his footing, slips, and the kick strays off no good. The score remains 13-7 Central Arkansas. 3 punts later, Carson Newman is at its own 38-yard line, 3rd down, 6 yards to go. Joslin looks for Johnson, who makes a nice move and picks up 21 yards and a first down. 3 plays later, the Eagles face 3rd down 5, and Joslin works the ball to tight end Dean Craig for a gain of 6 and a first down at the Bear 30. And then Kenneth Tyson shakes loose again, scrambles 30 yards for the touchdown, and the All-American from Knoxville gives Carson Newman a 1-point lead. After trailing 13-0, the Eagles, as they have so many times, come from behind to go ahead as time runs out in the third quarter.
We were able throughout the game to keep working on the weak side with the veer weak side, and then they didn't know which way we were going, you know, there in the second half, because we started ripping the ball pretty good in the second half on them.
Third quarter winds down, much of the same in the second quarter. The Eagle offense continues to play well. The defense continues to play well. Now you have a 1-point lead, so you're sitting pretty, aren't you?
Well, felt pretty good at this time. Really thought that, to be real honest with you, Stan, at that particular time I thought it'd be over with. I thought once we got in the lead, because we'd fought so hard to get there, that it would be over with. But Central Arkansas showed me something about them at that time too, because they came right back, as we'll see. But we moved the football the whole ball game. In fact is, you know, statistics were unbelievable. Over 400 yards offense. And Jeff struggled a little bit throwing the ball early in the game, but he started completing all, you know, passes, and so we were mixing run pass very well, and things were looking up. Defense was shutting them out, so things were looking up.
Well, 15 minutes of football remain. The odds makers called this one even. They were right. Carson Newman has fought from behind 13-0 to take a 1-point lead as the final quarter begins. As the final quarter begins, UCA has the ball down 14-13, third down 5 at the Eagle 39. Fusilier goes to the air and hooks up with White for a gain of 4. But that brings on 4th down and 1 at the Eagle 35, and the Bears decide to go for the first down. And what a good decision that turned out to be. On 4th and 1, Richie White gets the call, shoots the gap, and races for his second score of the game, this one from 35 yards out, and the Bears regain the lead, 19-14. The Bears also decide to go for 2, but Oscar Montgomery with Charles Merritt are there to hold McGehee out of the end zone and keep the Eagles down by 5 points with 14:06 to go. After the kickoff, Carson Newman has it 2nd down at the 28 as Joslin looks for Pat Walker, completes the pass for a gain of 15 yards. On first down, Tyson gets another good block from Marcus and sprints for 15 yards and another first down. On the next play, Marcus gets the call and cracks the right side for 14 more yards. Three plays later, it's 3rd and 6. Marcus turns blocker again and springs Tyson loose for 12 more yards, and it looks like the Eagles are heading for a touchdown. But the drive stalls as the Bear defense stiffens, and Louis Reveiz comes on the field to attempt a 26-yard field goal. Reveiz's kick is good, and the Eagles have scratched to within 2 at 19-17 with 7:39 to go. After the Bears get the ball back, the Carson Newman defense continues its fine play. On 1st and 10, Alan Stevens crashes through to drop Fusilier for a loss of 5, and the Bears begin to get backed up. 3 plays later, it's Stevens again getting through to Fusilier, this time for a safety to tie the game at 19-19. Was a safety in the minds of the Eagles during the series? Defensive coordinator Jim Deaton.
As they began the series, no, it was not. You know, we hoped to hold them deep in their own territory and then get them to punt the ball. On the 3rd down, we had sacked them twice. They had gotten a penalty, and then they were snapping the ball from about their own 4-yard line. And yes, you know, then we decided we was probably going to come after them pretty hard with our front 5.
With 6:46 to go in the game, Carson Newman is set to get the ball back on a free kick after the safety. Burrow comes up with a driving knuckler. Pat Johnson has trouble getting the handle, and after going all the way back to the goal line, struggles to get the ball back out to the 16. The score is tied 19-19 late in the football game.
Naturally, on a free kick after a safety, you expect to have your offense start somewhere around your own 40-yard line. We had a normal return on, just like we would in any kicking situation. And the young man from Central Arkansas is an All-American, and he proved it on that kick. He got a tremendous kick. Pat did a very good job to get the football fielded and get as much as he could. We ended up starting on the 16-yard line instead of what we had hoped would be our own 40-yard line. I think it might have taken a little bit of momentum away from us, but not that much, because the offense still moved the football and drove it almost the length of the field till we got in a 4th and 2 situation.
Carson Newman recovers from the bad field position and moves to the UCA 26. It's 4th down 2. The field goal team is kept off the field, and the Eagles on 4th and 1 are turned back by the Bears, who come up with a big play.
Well, I think we made the right decision, because 44-yard field goal or 43, whatever, against that strong wind, you know, it's just, you're taking a chance there.
I tell you what, I think I might have tried it because I have a little stronger leg than Lewis does. But Lewis was in a situation where he was kicking against a 20-mile-an-hour wind or something along that line. It was one of the sloppiest, wettest days I've ever seen. And he was having trouble with his footing. He'd slipped on both field goal tries, and I just don't think he could have made it. So I think Coach Sparks went with the right decision. He asked me what we ought to do, and I said, no way. You know, we got to go for it. And I don't think there's any way he would have hit the field goal. I really feel that way.
4th and 2, we felt like that we had the play called, that they hadn't been stopping, and we were going to give it to our best back. And unfortunately for us, their defensive back made a great play, and it ended up being the turning point in the game for them, I guess. If we had to do over again, I'm sure we would have called the same thing.
The teams trade interceptions, and with 4 seconds left, Burrow for Central Arkansas lines up to attempt a 70-yard field goal. The kick, however, is short and to the right. The game ends in a tie, 19-19, and Carson Newman and Central Arkansas are both crowned national champions. 19-19, a tie in the national championship game. There's been a lot of talk since that time of whether the rules need to be changed or not. What's your feeling about that? I know you wanted to leave Arkansas with a victory.
Well, Stan, of course, we didn't go out there to tie, and we didn't go out there to lose. We went out there to win, and, you know, you're supposed to go for the crown. You're not supposed to ever be satisfied with anything less than running for first place. And we were running for first place, and I think we were faithful in our run. Coach Sparks messed up right there, you know, at the end of the ball game some with some calls. A few times, you know, from a hindsight perspective, I'd like to have some of those things over, but you know, we don't get to relive, you know, things. Once it's gone, it's gone. But I was disappointed in myself, I guess, more than anything else, is the fact that I felt like I let our kids down some. And well, they certainly played hard, and they certainly went for the crown. And I think, you know, in the Bible it says that, you know, it's in the striving that we're supposed to strive for the crown. And it's a high calling to go for first place. And of course, you know, sometimes we get our first places messed up, you know, what is really first place and what isn't really first place. But our kids played hard. They showed character all the way through. Stan, I really think that at first I was really disappointed because I was a little disappointed myself. But the great thing of it is that, you know, maybe there's a little greed involved there. And God honored 2 communities, 2 schools, and 2 groups of kids. And I shouldn't be jealous over that. I should be excited. And I'm glad we were part of it.
So for the 2nd straight year, Carson Newman has laid claim to the NAIA National Championship. When we come back, we'll visit with Coach Sparks to get more thoughts on the National Championship and what's ahead in 1985. We'll be right back.
Why should you buy JCPenney Auto Insurance?
Because JCPenney Auto works harder for me. They give me a great deal on rates.
They settle 88% of our claims in 3 business days after proof of loss.
The thing I like is that JCPenney Auto lets me choose the garage for repair.
I get 50% more medical coverage when I fasten my seatbelt.
I bought it because it's JCPenney Auto Insurance.
Why should you buy JCPenney Auto Insurance?
They work harder.
Jerry Redding, President and Director of Research for Nexus Products Company.
Nature itself is the ultimate miracle. It is here that the Nexus products for the hair and skin came to be. Is your hair brittle, oily, too thin? Ask your hairstylist for the Nexus formulation best suited to your particular hair and skin care needs. It took me over 50 years to find it, but it'll only take you a few pleasant moments at your favorite salon to discover the magic of Nexus for yourself.
Streetcars are back on track, and they're at JCPenney. Streetcars, the shoes your feet get off on. Get comfortable with the Sea Lion for men. Casual Oxfords made with California construction with a lightweight, flexible sole and a full cushion insole. The Sea Lion for men. Streetcars are the shoes your feet get off on. Yes, streetcars are truly awesome. Found now at your JCPenney store.
been roughly a month now since the 19-19 tie in Arkansas. Has time at all healed any of the wounds maybe caused by not winning the championship outright?
Well, Stan, I made a statement right after the ball game, and I think it's true that 10, 15, 20 years from now, we won't be sitting around telling our grandchildren, you know, that we were co-champions. I think we'll be saying we were national champions, and we are national champions. I know a lot of times because, again, of the press, you know, everybody, it was almost as if we'd lost, but we didn't lose. And fact is, in many ways, we won. And fact is, not just this particular ball game, but this whole season was a victory. You know, it's a lot tougher to go from being the chaser to being chased, as you alluded to at the beginning of this show. You know, it's a tremendous amount of pressure. Our kids responded, even though they were getting the very best shots everybody had to give them. You know, when you're national champions, you're not going to line up against a football team and get anything less than the very best. And we were getting game plans. We were getting people's best efforts. We were getting everything of everybody's best because we were the national champions. And so, you know, we survived that thing. You know, we won 10 ball games. And so it was a tremendous victory through all that. It was a tremendous success through all that. And so that was great. We had a lot of kids that experienced a lot of growth this year. We had 20, 25 guys to commit their lives to the Lord, and you know, and decide that they want to base their foundation of life on that instead of some of the other things. And so that was exciting. I think a lot of our coaches grew, and what a great coaching staff we have. You know, I think it was a growth experience, and you know, that's the way everything is. Even the most positive things that happen to us in life, sometimes people try to look at the negative, and sometimes they want to say, well, why this and why that? You know, and I always say it like this, that Satan means things for harm, but the Lord means them for good. And if we'll just trust Him and keep our eyes on Him, then good things are going to happen regardless of the circumstances. And that was, I think, in summary, the way this year went. It was a tremendous year. And there was things that we'll never forget. And I hope that we use it for the right reason. And the only thing that I worry about is for us to take the good things that happened for us, you know, the trophies and the rings and the honors and the glories and all of that, and say, look at me. You know, because if we do, then we've run for the wrong crown, because that crown is going to tarnish. Those trophies, those rings are going to tarnish. They're going to, you know, they may even get stolen. They're not going to have any lasting effect. The only thing that's lasting is when we are doing what we're created to do, and that's to serve the God who created us and has a great plan for us. And when we do that one, then everything's lasting. We've got the real crown. We've won first place. And that's the way I hope that we use it. I hope that's the way old Ken Sparks uses it. And boy, we're just grateful for what a great experience. Grateful for a group of kids that were unbelievable, and a coaching staff, and glad to be part of it.
National championship in 1983, national championship in 1984. It's already 1985. What about number 3?
Well, let's go for it. You know, why not? We've got to recruit some football players. We need some guys that have vision to come and join us. We need to. You never sit still. You're either going up or going down. We need to recommit ourselves. We need to realign our intentions in life. You know, I hope that our intentions are always to serve the great God that is unbelievable, undefeated. You know, we serve an undefeated God. Isn't that something? And so, if we'll do that, everything will be fine, Stan.
All of us at Carson Newman wanted to thank the people here at WTVK who have worked so hard and so long to bring you Carson Newman football throughout the last few years. A special thanks to our producer, Mary Magnotti, for her continued outstanding performance. And we look forward to 1985. So for Coach Ken Sparks, I'm Stan Cotton. Thank you for joining us today and throughout the season. Have a good afternoon.